In today's video, it's going to be a build update on this 1998 RS Coupe of mine, which as you guys can see, has a 2004 WRX engine swap. It's going to be part 2 of that Kein Fab Alternator Relocation Kit that I installed in one of my earlier videos. I'm actually going to install the longer serpentine belt that you're going to have if you're going to install this Alternator Relocation Kit. So thanks for checking out the video, guys. I really appreciate it. My name's Luke, and you guys are watching the SubaruONLY Show.
This is my little SubaruONLY shop. It's a DIY Subaru channel. It's a channel where all I do is Subaru builds and race Subaru vehicles and motorsport events. It's a DIY themed channel where I walk you guys through the steps to get your Subarus back on the road and hopefully do a little racing of your own. So thanks for checking out the video, guys. I really appreciate it.
Okay guys, just to give you a reminder of where this alternator relocation kit is installed, this is actually one of the brackets that relocates this alternator. Normally your alternator is actually located over here by that power steering pump. But I've actually relocated that alternator over here, which actually puts it lower into the side of the engine bay. That way, if I want to run a reverse intake manifold, I can actually reverse this intake manifold and I can actually have an intake tubing go into the intake manifold, into the throttle body right here. So I've actually completely freed this area up so I can do that modification at a later time. Also, because I wasn't running an AC compressor, I actually had a big gap on this side of the engine. So relocating that alternator to this position actually evened out the look of the engine and kind of balanced out all the open space that I had in this engine. This bracket, as you can see, holds this side of the alternator, and then over here on this side, this is the other part of the kit. And this bracket actually has a sliding little slot right here, so you can actually slide that alternator and adjust the tension of the belt, kind of like this. And what happens when you relocate this alternator from this position over here to over here, the stock belt is no longer long enough. You got to have a longer belt now that the alternator is all the way over here. So that's what I've done for this video. I actually got a longer belt, and I'll show you guys which one that is. That way you guys can actually grab that belt and actually look it up and actually buy that belt if you guys are going to do this alternator relocation kit. Here's actually a stock belt, and this one's too small now. And then I just grabbed some just basic electrical wire, grabbed a little section of electrical wire, wrap this little section around my power steering pump and around the crank and around the alternator. So I took that measurement, looked that measurement up, and that measurement basically gave me this belt size. So it's actually belt number 4050-380, a multi-V belt. I don't actually know if this one has a length on it or not. Let's see here. I hope this sucker ends up being the right length. Right off the bat, I can tell this is definitely longer than that factory one. Let me go ahead and grab that factory OEM one so we can see how much longer this one is. Okay, I got both belts here. I'm gonna go ahead and try to stretch them out so you can see kind of the distance and the difference between these two. So I got both belts here. The factory one's a shorter one, and this is a longer one. So you can see the longer one is definitely gonna be a few inches longer than that factory one. You know, I'd say that's probably about 3 or 4 inches longer. So go ahead and weave this sucker down underneath the crank pulley and then slide it over that power steering pump pulley. Kind of get it lined up. I believe it goes on the outside crank pulley. And then let's see if we can get this belt over this sucker. This is gonna be a tight fit for sure. No, this might not be a long enough belt. Okay, I should have kept filming, but I had to get in there and really work this sucker, but it fits. The way you actually do is you kind of slip it over one and then just kind of keep rolling it and just kind of roll it over the pulley. And that's it, basically, 405-0380. That basically fits. It's a good fit, as you can see. It's got a little bit of room to pull it a little tighter. Right now, it's all the way bottomed out, and you can see it's got a little bit more slack than it should. So basically you want to have a little bit less than that when you tighten these belts, these serpentine belts. This is the bolt and the little washer. You're going to want to add a washer for sure to this bolt. That way you actually increase the surface area for this bolt to clamp down on this little bracket. Because basically this little bolt and this little washer is what's going to clamp on this bracket and hold this alternator in place. And this alternator is being pulled by this belt and by the crank and by the tension on the belt. It's getting pulled in this direction. So basically this little face is going to be the face that's holding everything together and holding this belt in the tension it's going to be held at. So basically get a washer that's about the width of this bracket. That way you can get the maximum little bite area. And I'll go ahead and put this bolt in. See, everything lines up really good. And then you're going to want to get a tension on this little serpentine belt. Now this is actually a little bit too much slop in this belt. You want to have about 2/3 of this or almost maybe half this much slop in it. And the way you want to do that is you want to pull this alternator and you're going to slide it up a little bit. But it's actually going to be kind of hard to do just with your bare hands. So a trick to that is actually to grab a long screwdriver like this one, a little flat blade screwdriver, and you slip the screwdriver underneath, and I'm going to mount the camera up so you guys can watch this, underneath at the right spot, and then use the block as a leverage point to kind of lift up this alternator and crank on this screwdriver so you can lift this alternator up slightly, put a little bit of tension on this belt, and then at the same time crank this bolt down. So I'm going to do that, but I can't do it while I'm holding the camera. I'll set the camera up first on the tripod and I'll show you guys how I do it. Okay, so basically the first step is to find a good spot in here where you don't damage anything and you can actually get some good leverage. And I can lift, whoops, and then you can lift that alternator up slightly. You see I can actually lift the alternator up just slightly. And when I lift the alternator up, the tension on this belt just gets about perfect. So find the right spot by lifting the alternator up. Right about there is perfect. And then get your ratchet in there. Make sure it's on tighten. Actually, let me get that a little tighter. And go ahead and tighten that bolt down. And then once the bolt's tight and it's holding it, you should be able to let go and you should have kept that little tension. And there you go, that's about perfect. So that belt is on and this alternator is relocated. So this engine is basically ready to be fired up. I got to give a big shout out to Sergey Kein and Kein Fabrication. You guys, this is a Kein Fabrication kit. This one out here is in powdered silver, but he actually offers it in all different types of colors. It comes with this bracket right here, and you actually have to add some hardware and you reuse some of your stock hardware and add a couple more bolts. But basically this is the Alternator Relocation Kit. It's one of the cheapest kits on the market and it's really high quality. So if you guys want to pick up one of these Alternator Relocation Kits, check out the link below. I'll definitely include it in the description for this video. He's got all kinds of parts for your Subaru, from suspension and body bracing parts to transmission braces for your 5-speed transmission, all kinds of cool parts for your Subaru. Check him out at Kein Fabrication because I'm sure you guys are going to find something you like for your Subaru. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there for today. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Thanks for checking out this second video on the Kein Fab Alternator Relocation Kit. And like I said earlier, make sure you guys check out Kein Fab's inventory if you guys are interested in some suspension parts or chassis bracing parts for your Subaru. Thanks again for checking out the channel, guys. If you have any questions or any comments, please go ahead and leave them in the comments below. And if you guys need any fluids or any brake parts or any other miscellaneous parts or tools for your Subaru, make sure you check out my SubaruONLY Amazon store. I also include that in the link below, and I'm constantly adding new parts and new tools and new miscellaneous items for your Subaru on that website. So thanks again for checking out the video, guys. I really appreciate it. My name's Luke, and you guys have been watching the SubaruONLY Show. Thanks again for watching this video, guys. As you guys know, I'm a diehard Subaru enthusiast. And I've also had the opportunity to be involved in motorsports for over 2 decades now. But I'm also a professional hydrogeologist, and I've actually spent years in laboratories performing experiments where I studied the flow of fluids using the properties of physics and fluid mechanics. In these YouTube videos, I'm actually able to combine my experience from the laboratories and all the research I've done with my experience from all the motorsport series I've been involved in and my passion for Subarus. If you have any professional inquiries about Subaru-related R&D or digital marketing and media, you can contact me at SubaruONLYshop@gmail.com. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope to hear from you soon.